Dana Perino had an interview with Jill Biden, Joe's wife. She's
Mm-hmm.
a lovely person. She's a great
Well, she's
asset.
letting Joe continue to run, and I don't like her for that
Oh,
because I think it's elder
don't get me
abuse.
started. I don't know why she didn't say, Joe, honey, I love you. You're a great guy. You're my hero. Don't do it. That's, I say this to my wife every day. I don't know why Jill is allowing it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
So, but that aside, she seems like a lovely person. She seems very smart. She knows how to present. So Dana Perino is doing an interview. I was very curious with it because it's always when somebody shows up on Fox from the other side, I'm very curious about that. So Jill shows up and they're having their interview, and Jill says something like, "Well, Joe's going to be picking a woman, and I know that makes you happy, Dana." And it went by. Dana didn't. Now Dana's too polite. Now when I watch interviews, I actually talk to the TV. I because if I was Dana, I would say, why would that make me happy? Dana, she's a woman. He's going to pick. That'll make you happy. Now that's a very condescending thing to say.
Yeah, it
No,
is.
I don't believe that Jill meant it condescendingly. I think she meant it like it's a great thing because it's time for women to be at that place. And I don't and Dana's too polite to have said it, or I don't, maybe she didn't even think it. She might have been able to say, I don't know why that would make me happy, but it would give a certain kind of edge to Dana that she doesn't really have. She's very smart, but that's not her personality. But you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Jill throws that out and says, that should make you really happy. And I'm thinking, why should anybody be happy only based on the gender? That's the only thing. And this plays to what the media does, which is they care more about the skin color, the gender, the group you belong to, your sexual orientation, what any of that has to do with in terms of making public policy is zero, absolutely zero.
Well, and the ironic thing is that for the longest time, I mean, listen, I don't have as much experience and wisdom as you do, Howard, but I have my fair share, and and I remember a time when the argument was that women can do whatever they want and it doesn't matter who you love and everyone can do anything anyone else can do, and that was considered to be a good thing to I'm gonna say the word overlook, but I don't mean like it in a bad way. It's just like it's the only word I can think of, to overlook that it's a woman and look at the qualifications, or overlook that they're gay, or look at the qualifications. I mean, you give people opportunities because they are capable and competent. And when you were talking about that, I was thinking about before I got into doing all this stuff, I was doing a lot of public speaking, and back in the day when we still had conferences and events, and there had started to be a whole bunch of conferences that were starting to do just all female speaker conferences as a way to make the point that female speakers were often overlooked for those types of events. And it really made me mad, to be honest. Like, as a professional speaker, like, I worked for years and years and years to get good at speaking. It was hard. It was a lot of work. I had to do a lot of stuff for free. I had to practice so many hours. And so for someone to tell me that the only reason I'm bringing you in for this conference is because of your gender, I found that to be incredibly insulting. But that's what the Democrats are doing, and I just don't understand it.
Yeah, I'm still stuck on you calling me wise. But no, that's very sweet. This has been brewing for a long time. Okay. I believe that basically we're a very virtuous culture. I believe there's something about this Western civilization experiment where doing good and being good mattered. I quoted people in my book who said this isn't going to work unless we're a good country. All of these rules, all of unalienable rights, all of these principles aren't going to matter unless we're basically good. Okay? So I admire that. But some things can get really distorted. because when we noticed that, well, women couldn't vote, right? That was it. I mean, there was slavery. There was all these bad things that ever happened. And if you've grown up in the suburbs and you've been privileged and you think, you know what, I was able to play soccer and I was able to go to school and I was able to have my iPad. What needs to be fixed out here? What needs to be fixed? So you start to look at a group, which is already now you're condescending. I'm going to go and I'm going to help the women. Okay, you women, you oppressed women, you've had it really bad. You know what? You need to speak at this thing. You need to be highlighted. Now you feel, so it isn't the work that I did. It isn't that the way I educated myself. It's that I have an XY chromosome, and that qualified me, in your mind, to put you out there. So it started from good intentions, right? Mm-hmm. Just basically good intentions, because we're such a messed up culture. And what we do is we take a hammer and we club it to death, and then we claim how virtuous we are because you got to speak at the event and you got a ribbon for doing it. Mm-hmm. That's what we've been doing. We've been patting ourselves on the head for making things worse.
Yeah. And I want to bring this back to the idea of socialism in a second. I just want to acknowledge this super chat, though, from Winter Wind, who says, instead of mainstream media, I use legacy media or traditional media. I've got to get more in the habit of using legacy media for sure. But I want to touch on this idea of why someone like me would be angry at the idea that you're only picking me for this event because of my gender, whereas other women are like, great, we finally have the opportunity that we have never been afforded before, when of course they always had the opportunity, they just needed to work hard for it. What is it? I guess I'm asking you to psychoanalyze me, Howard, on the internet. Yeah. What could possibly go wrong? What is different about my mindset that I see something like that and I say, that's actually really offensive to the years of work that I've put into this? And someone that is exactly like me in so many ways, maybe same gender, same age, same type of experience, looks at that and says, that's awesome and amazing, and I want to be a part of it.
Yes. Look, you're very vulnerable. You're in good hands. I'm good at what I do. And all you're saying is how healthy you are. So, it's a nice thing to expose, Carlin, is just how sensible and healthy you are.
Excellent. My parents will be thrilled.
You should let them know. I have a lot of experience if that helps you. But no, you're obviously coming from the correct place. This is good anger to have. I'm writing another book, and I talk about anger, and I said it's the trickiest emotion that there is, because I'm not against anger. Righteous anger in the right place for just the right amount of time, not too long, because it turns toxic. Anger will turn toxic, but that you would be incensed at the idea that, oh, great, now we have a woman doing this. No, you don't have a woman you have an experienced, well-trained, thoughtful person who's coming. I would, forfeit my womanness a million times to give you what I'm come here for. I'm not saying you don't want to be a woman. I'm saying is don't reduce. Think about the many black surgeons who are wonderful, and they came into their field at a time that affirmative action was going on. Mm-hmm. And they are talented and the best at what they do. And they have to wonder correctly whether someone looks at them when they're black and think, well, were they given a break and they were less skilled and I'm not getting the best surgeon ever? So it ultimately turns out to be an insult to the people you're trying to help. And so the mantra should be, please, public, don't help me. I'll help myself. Give me the roads on the street, light the lampposts, make sure that we have infrastructure. I'll take care of the rest of it. And if I'm no good at it, then so be it. Or maybe I need to go back and study harder, or whatever else may befall me. I might be in a good enough support group that if I ever need help, I can get it, but not from the government, but from people who actually know me and care about me and know what would actually be helpful to me. So, we could be all over the spectrum. I mean, I can't tell you how much help I would like to have with things. But once you start to get the government to craft some kind of help for me, I know that I've just made a step that's going to hurt me, not help me.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like, I mean, so I don't want to overlook the fact that if you say I'm healthy for having that mindset, that means fundamentally the other person might be they may have some issues they need to work out, and I maybe want to come back to that. But I just want to think about this idea of why people would be looking to for help from the government when they could get help in any number of other ways that are actually probably far more productive and healthy. And is it this fear maybe that if it doesn't come from the government, I'm just not going to be able to find the help and support that I need? What is it that says the government is the answer rather than I could go take a class, I could go get a mentor, I could go talk to people I could go watch YouTube videos of great speakers and learn how to give a good talk? What is it about that mindset that says the government is my answer?
Yeah, I think it's because the government's probably the biggest collective thing that people do. And it's just a big, what could be bigger than it's the reason why we have a military. Throughout history, there have been militias, and there have been maybe private militias throughout the world or whatever. But when you get to a scale of national conflict, you have to have a military. There's no way of getting around that, whatever you may think about the military. And so that's an example where people can't do it by themselves. And there's some things that government is cut out for, but not everything. And so I think that people just really think it's the biggest thing there is. So why can't the biggest thing be the solution? Sometimes because it's big, it can't solve things. And you lose sight of that. And I want to you mentioned the women who are different than you who say, okay, great, they recognized women and they're happy for it. And I'm not saying that they're unhealthy, except I might say that aspect of the way they're thinking about it is unhealthy. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, and what they can do is they can get cover because it seems like such a good cause. You see, as long as they think it's a good cause, you could stand behind it emotionally. But imagine, I'm just trying to think. Well, affirmative action. Okay, that sounds like a really good cause, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. I mean.
Well, but if you do a deep dive, it's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can even do a real deep dive and see the evilness in it. That what it does is it actually takes people's agency away from them and makes it other people's decision, not your own decision. Mm-hmm. And so there's so many things that we label as a good thing that we need to look at how we label stuff. And if we could correctly label things, we would be in better shape.
So you just said something, and I want to make sure we don't overlook this. You said that things like affirmative action take people's agency away from them. And I think that this is a really critical point, because I think that one of the things that is fundamentally different between someone that is looking to the government to help them and someone who says, I can do this on my own. And this might seem overly simplistic, but it's a belief that you can be successful doing it on your own.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, they take that away. I can't do this without, the big mommy. And, I mean, I'm stunned by the thought of it. I think a person begins to die when they start to think that. Life is about belief and about reaching and about imagining on your own what could be. If that's all done by the government, they just suck life out of me.